That's right everyone, Dragon Ball Super Manga Chapter 54 is here, and oh man, if you're a Gohan fan right now, be prepared to feel pretty good, and then feel a bit, Now, if you're wondering what I've been doing, a few weeks back, I made the decision to cover the manga since my pal Havrock really wanted me to talk about the manga, as well as the main bad guy, Moro, but we couldn't since we hadn't covered it, but now we are. Seriously, he wanted to talk a lot about Moro. So now, we'll be reviewing the manga as soon as it comes out, courtesy of Viz's online portal and translation, as well as the Shonen Jump service. Also, if you're not reading the manga, then there are going to be spoilers for the super story, just so you know. Chapter 54, Son Gohan vs 7-3. That name packs a punch, as does that image right there. Goodness, that's a way to make an entrance. Before we begin, do give my merch store a look, as we have got quite a few new designs over there, plus one special one for the holiday season going live on Friday. So go to masako.cc/store and give it a gander. Right, onwards! Where we last left off, we got our major fight between Piccolo and the power-grabbing android 7-3, who can absorb powers, in this case, the Namekians. With the green man down for the count, Gohan came in at the last minute, with suit and all, to add his say to the matter, with the ambiguity of the all-important bang pressing on our minds. Meanwhile, we had Yardrat newbie Vegeta getting to grips with the ideas of patience, something of which the prince does indeed struggle with. Other than that, we are all set for some action in this chapter, after some build-up with the recent addition of new minions on Earth, so let's go. Right from the start, we don't have the usual bump that happens in most Dragon Ball stories and fight sequences, where you see the two competitors standing around staring at each other for what seems like ages. But don't worry, if you're a fan of that, we will probably see that in the anime. Nor do we hear Gohan make some kind of imposing speech to 7-3 about how he will destroy him for the good of Earth with his new power. But don't worry, if you're a fan of that, we will probably see that in the anime. We get stuck into it right from the start, a rather impressive array of images of Gohan versus 7-3, as the title would imply, obviously, riddled with the powers of Piccolo, including the one he used against 17, which acts like a surround, to which I am a personal fan of. It's one of my favourite techniques. But there is one thing that the droid didn't count on. The fact that Gohan is one of the biggest Piccolo fanboys around, and knows that attack inside and out. So it surprises me that Piccolo was so shocked to see this happen. But this is Dragon Ball after all. Not all habits go away in the manga. In fact, we know things get serious because, like Goku, 7-3's clothes are starting to be torn off through the battle, and that means it's getting serious. And that's another thing. Less clothes, things get tougher. Sort of like Senran Kagura in a way. First Monster Musume and then Senran Kagura? Oh, Toyotaro, you cheeky so-and-so! Gohan reiterates what I was saying, and Piccolo doesn't take it all in good grace, stating that he doesn't really like the idea that Gohan beat somebody with his powers. Kinda shows how he's become so weak. But he decides to make himself feel better by bringing out the old clothes beam, or clothes hand, or different action, but same result. Gohan wearing the purple gi instead of the orange one of Goku's. Something to which I really do approve, as it feels more apt for what Gohan and Piccolo have been through together. With all of that sentiment out of the way, 7-3 decides to break out the gigantic form to regain the spotlight, but doesn't realize that, yeah, Gohan can still read him like a book. One of the biggest books he would probably ever see, and that's enough to get Gohan going, a big book. Read it to me! Read it to me good! This gets the attention of the other minion, Yumba, as he is taking out Krillin, and the panda is looking very pensive at the thought of the strongest of their trio struggling against these Earthlings who are supposed to be just mere monkeys. And Gohan then goes to blast the bit behind 7-3's knees, sending him to the ground. And I gotta say, that's a really good idea. And I am really digging the creative use of different techniques and moves and plans from Toyotaro, and by proxy Gohan, in this chapter thus far. This whole thing carries on for a good few pages with lots of action, and 7-3 then resorting to stretchy arms once again. You know, for a smart android, he's really not getting the point that Gohan has been giving off the entire chapter, that he can anticipate his moves because Piccolo. Then sending his arms around the rocks, nooks and crannies, before then running up his arms, a la Goku with the Kefla attack, and then act as a path directly to his opponent, can't escape to land a Kamehameha in the air. Oops. Turns out that 30-minute time limit conveniently ran out. That means 7-3 can't use Piccolo's powers right now, and he returns to his normal state, but still in danger of being blasted. Suddenly, this is where 7-3's powers get even more OP, as if his abilities weren't powerful enough. So yeah, you know how he can absorb powers and use them for a period of time? Well, it turns out this isn't a one and done thing. It's just you can only use them for 30 minutes at a time. He can use up to 3 different powers to switch between at any moment, one of them actually being Moro's own powers. Now, does this mean that Moro allowed him to absorb his powers for his own use in spreading fear amongst the galaxy? Well, clearly, because I doubt Moro would have allowed that to happen against his will. And the image is of the young Moro in his prime, to show that this was a recent acquisition. The Kamehameha is gone throughout all of this, as it became a rather tasty snack for the droid to consume. Basically mirroring how Moro can eat energy like a Cadbury's cream egg. "Where's the kaboom? There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom!" shouts Krillin. And sorry, the opportunity was there, the dialogue is literally, "Where's the kaboom?" It was too good to pass up. So with 7-3 now becoming even more of a formidable opponent, everybody has to get involved before he can absorb even more of the Earth's energy, which he can then use to swat Gohan away, who was performing a sneak attack. Maybe Gohan should have had the bang down from the beginning. The ring of energy around the droid keeps on growing and keeping everybody away as well. He isn't allowing anyone to get close to him, which is a neat idea. Shimareka then tells his employers about the revelation and how they're doing a really good job, and this surprises Moro that it had to be used at all. Because this power of Moro's to be used by 7-3, it was meant to be a last resort, either showing how good the Earthlings are or how rubbish his minions are. Yeah, I'm going to assume it's the latter. It also is rather interesting that Moro wasn't happy about all of this happening and is seemingly regretting the plan, as it's not right to him, and it gives his enemies the chance to study his powers from a distance. Moro and Sagumbo can check the action out directly from a droid similar looking to Vegeta, maybe the same planet, and they can watch, as we are as well, with Gohan in some panels, really looking like Vegeta in places. Less like his father, it's really strange and a little jarring, to be honest. But not as jarring as seeing Yumba just suddenly body slamming Gohan, who a second ago was looking pretty tough. Yeah, get it? Because Yumba's fat. Moro decides to spare the humans at the last minute, and since Krillin decided to then open his big mouth, probably really scared, the revelation of Goku and Vegeta's true plans are revealed to Moro and the Mooks, and they then decide to retreat from Earth and go and look for the Saiyans. Yeah, sure, it does spare Earth, but once again, it's Krillin looking like a bit of a snitch. Thanks, Toyotaro. Either way, Moro doesn't have to worry about the Galactic Patrol anymore because, you know, he's uber powerful, and will come back for Earth when he feels like it. Which is seemingly just under 3 weeks from now, but in my opinion that could change because if Moro makes use of the Porcupine Teleport Warp powers, it could be at any moment. But then Jarko says it's actually more like 2 months. I was a little bit confused with the translation there, because I'm not quite sure which is true. Yeah, I mean, okay, it adds some uncertainty, but not in the best way. However, the biggest amount of intrigue from this chapter comes from the training that Merus and Goku are undertaking. Merus has been told from his Galactic Patrol superiors about Earth's impending visit from Moro, which means that the training has to be upped even more than it was already. But it seems like there is one unexpected viewer of proceedings. Someone who can actually look within a room of spirit and time and see what's going on. It's Whis. And it's a Whis who seems a bit out of sorts. Now, instead of his usual jovial self, he's looking rather serious at what's going down and has requested the advice of his father, the Grand Priest, regarding the likes of Merus and the topic of it, to which his father seems to be all too aware of. Ooh, intriguing. Now, does this mean that Merus is who we think he is? Or is he something else? Well, we'll talk about that in a future discussion video, but either way, the chapter ends with all of this mystery. All in all, the chapter felt like a necessary one. After a couple of chapters of mostly exposition and establishing of locales, we then get a chapter which was mostly action between Gohan and 7-3, which I must say was handled very well, and something that I am very impressed with. Toyotaro has certainly improved, and this seems like a story he wants to tell and is very excited to tell. And the whole thing with Whis looking stern and concerned about this matter in his universe is another thing which has gotten me really hooked. What could perturb Whis of all people? This was one thing that Haverock and I have been saying for the longest time. It would be great to raise the stakes organically by making Whis seem really concerned about something. And we're now seeing it in the actual story. This is brilliant. And I'm very excited to see the next chapter coming out on December 20. So what did you guys think of this? Do you like the format? Do you like what's happening in this chapter? Would you like to see more of these reviews? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!